Hello, welcome to Time to Talk. I'm Argie, Holliman, and we're so glad that you could join us once again for a live show. And today I want to welcome as my guest Tamara Gooch. Now you may remember her. She's been on Time to Talk before, last November in fact, and she wrote a book called The Day She Left, and now the book has been made into a play. So she's going to tell us all about that tomorrow. Welcome back to Time to Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes. And Tamara brought some of the actors from the play, and so we want to welcome them as well. We have Fonda Williams. Fonda, it's good to have you with us today.
It's good to be here.
Yes, and you play one of the wives in the play.
I do.
And you're going to tell us more about that. And then we have Mark Hooser. Hooser?
He's Hooser.
Oh, he's a Hooser.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what I said. No.
No problem.
You have I got Mark right.
Yes.
Mark Stowe.
Yes.
Hmm. And Mark is one of the husbands
Yes.
in the play. We're going to find out more about that. And then Malachi Hooser is a husband in the play as well. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To Time to Talk. Very excited, but for people who may not know, tell us first of all about yourself. You do so many things. You know, you're a blogger, you're a life coach, you're a writer, author, helping so many people, especially women, to be motivated in their lives.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about
Well, I'm gonna keep it short.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to keep it short, but I am a certified master life and business coach, an author, as you said, a blogger, now a podcaster, because I started that back up.
Yeah.
Putting this mouth to use. I call myself a multi-purposeful entrepreneur, doing things that I never thought or even wanted to do, but finding my niche in helping women, particularly moms, start, build, and launch their businesses, creative, profitable businesses, I should say, while not missing time with their family and, more importantly, themselves, but also helping them share their story the way it needs to be shared by doing author coaching and then interviewing them and bringing them on my podcast to be able to share it across a vast market that people around the world are listening to. On top of that, being a homeschooler. And Yeah.
How many children do you have?
All together? That I homeschool? Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
But
That's
how many
enough.
do you have all together?
I gave birth to 2, but I have 4.
Okay, all right. That's good. Stepping in, filling in the gaps where you need to.
I can't get rid of them if I wanted to.
That's all right. And October is Domestic Violence Month.
Yes, it is.
As well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But you've willingly shared this, are a domestic violence survivor. Yes. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay. Well, it wasn't 1, it was 2. The first one I briefly talked about in the book, that I didn't go into grave detail, trying to protect the innocent, but I spoke more about the second because it came in a different way. He came more cunning, more loving, more giving, and what woman wouldn't want to be taken care of?
Right.
You know, I was a single mother for years, and I was like, okay, here's my chance to be totally taken care of by a man who wants to love me the way I desire to be loved. And it was all a farce. Didn't see it, but I saw it. And what I mean by that is the red flags were there. I didn't pay any attention to the red flags because my eyes were focused on the gifts, the money, the trips, everything that I wanted. So I didn't pay attention to the red flags. We just talked and was like, oh, okay, I forgive you too. and moved on. But it was nothing physical during that time we dated until I said I do.
Uh, and then things actually started happening right when you did say I do. But let's
Yes.
back up a little bit and talk about your history in the sense of maybe the first one kind of led to the second episode. Not the episode, but the life. You know.
I wouldn't say it did because I was raised in a household before my mother passed in 2016. My parents had been married for 57 years. So I knew what love looked like. I had that in my household. They
And
never
you wanted
argued.
that again.
I wanted it. But I married my oldest father because I didn't want to be a statistic. I didn't want people to call me a single mother. I didn't want her to call someone else dad. And I decided to stay with him for that purpose. There wasn't love, there was lust. And
And it's good to make that clear because that
It
happens
is.
to a lot of women.
it does. And it was comfortability. And I was like, okay, I know him. I'm not one to be promiscuous. So I'm just going to stay here. So we were together for 11 and a half years until I just said enough is enough. So his form of abuse was the silent abuse.
What do you mean by that?
He wanted what he wanted, and if I can be frank, like I always am, to hear someone say that they married you because the sex is good.
Okay.
That's it. And if he can't have it, no one else will. So to turn that into anytime there's an issue, we don't talk. But if I say something that you deem is wrong to you, I feel a phone go past my head or a chair, you know, and being who I am, I have 5 brothers, so I'm thinking, okay, yeah, come for me. Never hit me, but threw things at me. And
that's a form of abuse.
It's
too.
a form of
and a lot of
abuse.
people don't
They don't realize
that
it.
because they're like, well, he never hit me.
Exactly.
He never
It
slapped
was
me.
the
He never touched
intimidation.
me. Yeah, because
It was the
it sent
intimidation.
a message to you.
yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It sent them. I got ticked off. It didn't make me scared. I got mad. What scared me was the night that we all could have died in the house because there was a gas leak. And he chose to just stay upstairs and watch TV. And I'm thinking, okay. So I thank God for my father and others who I know who retired from DTE, who came over and checked everything and said, get out the house now. And when I mentioned it to him, he just looked at me and said, I told you, if I can't have you, nobody else will. So I said, okay, yeah, I know what I need to do. It's time for me to go. And I told him, give me 3 months. I'm out. He's like, well, I'm keeping the house. I don't want it. God will bless me with another one.
Right.
So in 3 months' time, I left. And that was the best thing that I could have done for me. But we don't realize what we go through and what we think our kids aren't listening to. My 7-year-old was hearing everything.
Yeah. And taking it all
She was
in.
taking it all in.
Yeah.
And I vowed that I would never put her through that again. But then the second came in a different form.
Okay. So it sounds like your second husband sent his representative. Tell us about that representative.
The second we met online. He was evil in every sense of the word. But I didn't know that until the drive from Michigan to Florida. And
What was
that's,
he like online?
oh, he was loving. Anytime I would say, all I had to say was, I'm tired, because being a single mother, we all know, of you who are single mothers, you know, working, going to school, taking care of kids, cooking, cleaning. People think that we just have this button that we can wind ourselves up and we keep going. But
Right.
we need rest. And all I would have to say is, I'm tired. I just want to go somewhere and take a vacation. The next few days, I would get a call and say, okay, just go to the airport, show your driver's license, and just get on the plane and wherever you want to go.
Who wouldn't like that?
Who wouldn't want that? So that was a year of that. I enjoyed it.
And tell us about, his history. Like, he had a good job. He was making good money.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Handsome.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, very 6'5", 6'6". Used to play pro football and had a real good paying job.
Yeah.
So-
and then a lot of times people online send you somebody else's picture or different things like that.
Yeah.
But this
He
actually
didn't.
was, he
It was
really
him.
had these things.
It was him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
It was him. So, but the true him came forward soon, and that didn't take me long to see the signs and say, okay, I have to get out of here because this evil is an evil that I've never experienced.
And your family liked him.
Oh my gosh, he had everybody snowed. He had everybody snowed, even my pastor at the time. Oh, the family was ready to go and do trips down. My brothers were ready to go hunting, and because he was paying for everything, he's like, "Oh, just let me know when you want to go." Yeah. First class ticket, let's roll. So everyone but my mother, she knew something.
Mother's intuition.
Oh my gosh, mother's intuition. She knew something. And she said something to me when he purchased the phone and had it shipped to me. She said, "Why would he need to purchase you a phone?" I said, "Well, because my phone broke." And she just looked. She said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah." And the look she gave me, she didn't have to say the words, but what she said was, "Now he has control." But I was like, "Oh, mommy, come on. No.
Because you're looking at all the good things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had dollar signs in my eyes.
Yeah.
I did. I had to be really honest with myself. I had the dollar signs because I said I can have the life that I've always dreamt about. Being a woman who takes care of her home, takes care of her husband, has a good life, and run my business from home, I'll be good.
Okay. Now he actually lived in another state. So you
Florida.
moved from Michigan
To Florida.
to Florida. Okay. Tell us about the wedding.
The wedding was actually here. And my cousin recorded the wedding. And after I left, he sent everything to me. And with a small note, he told me, "Watch the wedding video and look at your husband's face." It was the scariest thing I could have ever seen.
What was happening? What did his face look like?
Evil. It was evil. But I looked at it as he's a scared man because he's here in Michigan. His family couldn't make it. He's surrounded by all my family. My brothers are all standing behind him. This man is terrified. That was my thought.
Got an excuse for it.
I had an
Isn't that
excuse.
something how many times we as women will have an excuse? Yeah, but,
Yeah.
he's scared. He's
Yeah.
this. He's tired.
Yeah.
It's always something
Yeah.
to let it slide. You keep letting it slide and letting it slide
Yeah.
instead of looking at those red flags. So his
Exactly.
face was evil
Oh, it was
on
scary.
the wedding day. And then what happened? Because you left right after that?
No, not right after. We had our honeymoon and enjoyed that night. And I asked him, "Are you nervous?" He was like, "Oh my gosh, I was nervous." So I'm thinking, okay, yeah, that's what it was. I finished my schooling here and I left late June, early July. And that's when it was like, boom. God was like, bloop, I'm showing you everything that you were trying not to see.
What were you seeing?
The,
Or
on
what
the,
was coming out?
the true him, the nastiness, the evil tone, ways, and things that he would say. Because I am close with my family, so I'm crying on the way to Florida. Like I'm gonna miss my dad, I'm gonna miss my mom, and everybody that I love is in Michigan. And to hear the person who says that they love you say, quit acting like a baby, stop crying. And not in this tone that I'm saying it, but in a tone that you're thinking, okay, is he about to swing? Because we're in this U-Haul and I have nowhere to run
Right.
and we on the highway.
Okay.
So I can't just jump out. Can't do a Starsky and Hutch and, roll. So I'm thinking, what do I do? And
Who is this?
who is this? And that was the worst 24 hours I had ever been in a car with anybody.
He didn't even talk to you
No.
the whole way there.
The whole time. But anytime I whimpered, anytime I cried, there was the verbal abuse, the emotional, the taunt, then the laugh. And I'm thinking, you are such an evil person. But dare I say anything? Because I don't know how he would flip and what he would do. So I had to just kick into that, what do I do? Okay, so I got to keep this together until we get to Florida and then figure out, how do I get back home?
Okay. We're talking to Tamara Gooch today, and she's telling her life with domestic violence, and she's written a book, The Day She Left. And it's a play as well. We're going to be talking to our actors here about the roles that each one of them play. But give us some examples of other things that he would do that would be abusive to you, maybe even to your daughter.
Well, my daughters didn't get down there until maybe 2 weeks before I made the decision to leave. They wanted to stay in Michigan and finish out the summer with their friends, and I said, okay, that's fine. But getting to Florida, and I slept with a machete under my side of the mattress.
For real?
I did. And I have that machete to this day.
Okay.
I do. My husband now looks at me and like, who is this woman I married? I tell him, look, call me Annie Oakley, because I love going to the gun range too. But I had to, because when you're asleep and the person who you said I do to stands over you in a way that you're thinking, this man may put a pillow over my head, may choke me, I don't know. I didn't know what he would do because of the things that I saw every day. There was an intimidation, that control, with what he expected. I expect you to get up every morning and cook me breakfast, but he didn't eat breakfast. But he expected
But you
me.
need to make
but
it.
and it was like right here in my face type of talk, and he would use scripture.
He was practicing
To
or
be a minister.
studying to be a minister, or he
Yeah.
was a minister.
He was studying to be
He
a
was
minister.
studying to be a minister. Okay.
So that was one of his tactics for making sure that I stayed in my place. I couldn't talk on the telephone outside on our balcony because he had no clue of who it was, and if I did, then it was coming into the house and him, forcefully walking up to me, backing me into a corner and yelling. It was more verbal, psychological, mental, and when he wanted sex, it was sexual abuse, because I can remember, with your husband, you want to be all that he
Sure.
wants you to be. But when you have a man that wants you to do things that you're thinking, okay, yeah, no, that's not what I'm doing, and then he forcefully takes it. That's rape.
Right. It is.
That's
and
right.
People sometimes don't know that too. That
No,
people can be raped in
you
marriage.
can be raped by
and
your
are.
husband. Yeah,
And you have a right to say no.
exactly. Exactly.
You still own your own body.
Exactly. But to
Yes.
him, the scriptures that he uses, you belong to me now. Your body is mine now. And I'm thinking, wow, what did I get myself into?
Right.
But to be pinned down and have your husband do that, the only thing I could do when I got up was go to the shower and scrub myself thinking, okay, like, Lord, something got to give. I'm down here, nobody knows me. He gives me an allowance of $200 a month, and he brings home $350,000 a year. So I'm thinking, okay.
$350,000 a year? But you just get that amount. And then he wanted to see where did you spend that at?
Yes. And if I spent more than that, he would call from work. Well, where did you go today? What did you spend the money on? Okay, well, you better make sure that I have dinner when I get home. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, he's crazy. He's
Did you
crazy.
tell anybody? Was there anybody you could talk to?
There was no one that I could talk to at the moment but my mother. And I called her every day. And when I called her, it hurt me to my heart to tell her what I was going through. And I asked her not to say anything to my father because I knew he'd be on the first thing smoking in Florida. And I didn't want my dad to get arrested for anything.
Right.
But I knew if he had have known, the first thing he would have said, I'm coming to get my baby. And I made sure that I let my mother know what I was wearing. And she said, well, why are you telling me that? I said, well, in the event my body washes up and you all are watching the news, I need you to be able to say that's my child.
That was serious.
It was very serious. It was very serious. It was scary.
Yeah. It had to be terrifying for you.
It was.
It had to be terrifying. Tell us about the book.
Well, the book, The Day She Left, a domestic abuse survivor story, was not supposed to be written because I didn't want to write it. When I escaped and got back to Michigan, having a conversation with my sister-in-law, and the day she left it was just stuck in my head, and I wrote it on a piece of paper, put the notebook away, didn't do anything. For 3-4 years, I kept hearing God tell me to write the book, and I was like, nope, Jesus, you got to be crazy, not doing it. And I fought it. And the more I fought it, the more he introduced me to women who were either in abusive relationships or coming out of. And I would be sitting by myself, enjoying my life as a single woman. Bought my house, I was living good, I was doing well, minding my business, and they would sit next to me and start telling me their story, and I was like, okay, Jesus, I don't need to hear their story. I'm trying to find therapy myself.
Yeah, right.
But I found myself talking to them and helping them while I was in the midst of being helped myself. And then I kept saying, well, I can't write it because I'm working. I'm going to school. I got
busy.
life. I'm busy.
I'm busy. I can't do this.
Yeah, I was like, okay, every excuse under the sun. So May 2011, he made sure that I got let go from corporate America. And I was sitting at home, and I was like, all right, Lord, it's me and you. What do you want me to do? He said, write the book. I was like, oh.
I'm giving you time
Okay.
now. I'm giving you time.
And I had no choice but to just write it. So 6 months later, I finished.
Well, praise God.
Yes.
Would you like to read something out of the book?
Oh, it's a lot
What do
in
you
here.
wanted us to tell us about the day you left?
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of goodness in here. I wouldn't even know where to begin. The day I left, that was like less than 8 hours that I had to come up with the decision, because he went to work and I had to get the girls to say, okay, let's pack whatever you really want, because we gotta go. They wanted to stay. I had no money, but he would give me his checkbooks and a card. So I said, okay, well, maybe I can write a check, take it to the bank, get the funds, and go. Well, by this time, I had called my pastor back here, my pastor at the time, and he did let me know that you needed to get out of there without him knowing, because if he does know that you're gonna try to leave, he will try to kill you. And I knew I needed to get out of there. So that Monday, I said, by plane, train, or automobile, we're gonna figure out how we're gonna go. And the best thing that we could do was pack up what we had with all the suitcases that were there. And within like an hour, I had to really say, okay, what do I need to do? You know, it's that fight or flight kicks in. And I didn't have time to write out my plan. I had to call Greyhound and say, I need these amount of tickets, open-ended. I need to ship these bags back to Michigan, and I need tickets to go like now. And we caught a cab, and we left, and I did not sleep until I saw that Pure Michigan sign.
That was a welcome sign
Oh
for
my
you.
gosh,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah. Did he come after you?
He called the whole way because he did come home on his lunch break like I anticipated. So I just left him a Dear John letter on the pillow, and I let him know it was time for me to go. He called and called and called and called, and he spewed out scripture, and your place is here with me, and God is going to damn you for this, and you're never going to be able to get married again because you left the sacred home. And thank God I know the Bible for myself.
That's a good thing.
Otherwise, I would have fell for everything he was saying. And I wasn't so much afraid that he would come after me. It was, what would he try to do? Does he know someone at these stops along the way? Will he call someone and say, okay, when you see them, do this, or grab them and bring them back? That was what I was so much afraid of. And I said, okay, I'm not sleeping. I'm not closing my eyes. I have to keep my eyes on my girls. And I thank God that I did it that way. So 72 hours I didn't sleep. But
It had to be very difficult. Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
It was.
So you finally were able to divorce him?
It was an annulment.
An annulment. Okay.
Because it's not on the records. And I thank God for that. Yeah.
So what is there anything you'd like to read from the book? The Day She Left,
Yeah, The Day She Left.
which is now also a play.
It is. It is. I don't know. Is there something in particular you want to hear?
Well,
There's a lot.
I know there is.
Because it's not just my story. It's a story
It's
of
other
7
people's
other
story.
women. Yeah.
Okay, a collection then. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, what made you say this is it? This is really it. I gotta go. It's me or him.
I value myself. I love me more than anybody could love me. And I knew at that moment, if push came to shove, because my father taught me as a single woman, in your household, at night, in the dark, all lights off, walk through your house. Know your house. So when I moved to Florida, that's one thing that I did, because I would let him go to sleep first, because I didn't know what he would try to do. And I walked through my house. So I had certain things in certain places. What let me know that I needed to leave was I love me. And I wasn't going to give this man an opportunity to kill me. I was not going to give this man, no amount of sex is that good. Nobody is that good that they choose to abuse, assault, mistreat, belittle, berate, do things that make you feel less than a woman and say, I love you. That's not love.
Exactly.
Because I knew what love looked like.
Exactly.
And I love me. So I said, okay, it's either him or me, and he's not worth me going to prison for.
Right.
So I had to go.
And thank goodness you had that amount of self-esteem.
Yes.
Unfortunately, many people, their self-esteem is already low,
Yes.
and then the abuser makes it even lower. You know,
Yes.
unless it tells that person you're nothing, and you're nothing without me, and just get them down so far that, of course, they start accepting everything because they don't feel like they're worthy. Let's talk about the play, and let's talk to our characters in the play and everything. So we have Fonda Williams, and Fonda, you play Sarah.
Tara.
Okay, tell us about Sarah.
Tara, she's a 30 to 40-year-old woman. She's married to Jack, who's right here to my right. And
You're married to Malachi in the play?
yes, and,
Okay.
and she really just does everything she can to make him happy and take care of the household and make sure like everything is okay inside of the home. Doesn't always work that way, but she still tries to maintain the peace until, well, you'll just have to come see the play.
And I would imagine that nothing she do is good enough. Is that true?
It seems that way.
Okay.
It seems that way.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And tell us about your background. Have you been acting before?
Never this magnitude of a role. It's always been something small, maybe walking on or say one or two lines and that be it. I actually got involved with this play for my daughter. She is an aspiring actress, and just to get her experience, get her some experience here in Grand Rapids, I had her audition for the play, and to make myself committed in getting her to her rehearsals, I auditioned as well, and ended up getting a major role. So,
Wow.
but I love it. I love staying busy. I love having some form of activity to do, and then have my child involved as well. So it's helping build our relationship, and it's giving us something to do as a family.
So that has to be pretty exciting. So your daughter, does she play a child role or an adult role?
She's actually our daughter in the play.
She's your daughter in the play. Okay, it really is a family
Yes,
affair.
yes,
Exactly.
it is.
Okay.
So, but yeah, she's a child actor in the play.
Okay. What insight have you gained from being a part of this play?
I've definitely became a lot softer person. I've never had a problem with submission, but my reaction to certain things as Fonda may have changed a tad bit now being Tara. And just, my growth with Christ right now and my maturity within myself, becoming Tara for this duration of time has helped me with my growth process. Like I said, it's made me a lot softer person, and it has caused me to think about the words that I would say next so I don't escalate a situation or figure out what battle I'm really going to fight.
So it's been a learning experience.
It has
for
been.
you.
It has been.
Yeah. And Mark Stoll,
Yes.
tell us about your character in The Day She Left.
Well, I play a man named Craig who he is married to Carol, and the two of them are expecting their first child when the play picks up on them for the first time. And there's a lot of indications that they really do genuinely love each other, but it wouldn't be in this play if there wasn't something wrong in their relationship. And I really don't want to spoil too much because I really want
Right.
people to come and see the play. But
Definitely.
but this particular relationship between Carol and Craig, there's something about it that is a little bit different from the other couples that the play follows, and you would have to come and see the play to find out what that is.
Okay. We should say that too. When is the play?
It is October 25th. Curtain call at 6:30. Doors open at 6. And the 26th from 1 to 3.
Okay. And free donation?
Oh, I'm sorry. $25 in advance, $30 at the door. But yes, we are taking donations.
Okay. All right. And Malachi,
Yes, ma'am.
who's her? Tell us about, am I saying your name?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Tell us about your character in the play.
Well, as Tara mentioned, As Fonda mentioned, I played Jack, who's Fonda's husband in the play. Very interesting character because of the subject matter. I mean, he's very misogynistic, controlling, and I think manipulative in word, and as Tam mentioned earlier, it's more verbal abuse, which a lot of times we kind of minimize and think if it's not physical, then it can't be that bad, but you find that, it can be sometimes even worse because of the impact it has on you mentally. And I think
the person has no scars.
Right. You can't see it visibly, but mentally it can be there. And I think this whole process brings a light to something, we all maybe have taken for granted, never looked at a certain way, or you're learning and growing and understanding. I think for me, it's so contrary to who I am. So the role has been challenging, but very insightful and very intriguing. And so I find myself excited about helping the audience really understand and really putting them in a position to be uncomfortable and understand what all of us are trying to bring to the stage and to the experience for everybody. So,
did you have any qualms about playing this particular role? Like, I don't want people to think I'm really a bad guy.
You know what? Yes, I did, but that's the excitement of it. I think you look at it in no way, shape, or form I compare myself to a Denzel, but think about his career and how great he was and is. But Training Day changed everything for us. He was something totally we'd never seen before, and so to play someone who is totally outside of who you are is a unique experience. I think for me, the play, I came upon it accidentally. A friend of mine was in the play and auditioned and just thought it'd be a good idea to be a part of it. And Tammy and I knew each other 25 years ago. Matter of fact, we hadn't seen each other in about 25 years. So it was just interesting how it all worked out and, things came together. But it's been very intriguing, very interesting trying to play somebody who, you really don't fit, in any way, shape, or form almost, Only thing we have in common is middle-aged men.
Okay, all right. Do you have an acting background, or what else do you do in your other life when you're not acting?
No, I actually don't. I've always wanted to get into acting. I had an experience probably almost 20 years ago. I was in a very small part, like Fonda mentioned, at Master of Arts Theater, and, that went the way it went, and I just never really got back to it like I wanted to. But it's always been kind of something I'm fond of and curious about. So, but no, this is a new. And then to her point, we're all three of us. We're playing significant roles. We're not passing through or holding up signs. We are engaged.
Okay.
And so it's looking forward to it. Okay. It should be really good.
And Mark, do you have a background in acting, or what do you do in your other life?
Well, I was amazed at the reaction when I told people that I had 18 years of theater experience coming into this. I think I probably had the most acting experience out of everybody there.
Mark's a professional. He's what we're aspiring.
Well, I would say professional if I was getting paid for it on a regular basis, but most of the time I do volunteer theater stuff. But yeah, I've been acting passionately. I've been passionate about acting since I was 12, and I had a teacher who, when she saw me in the play that year, she wrote on my report card that she said I was really talented and she hoped that maybe I could pursue acting as a career. And it just got me thinking that, yeah, this is actually something I do enjoy doing, and I want to see where I can take it. And I've had a lot of great roles in the 18 years I've been doing this. I was Shrek, actually, in a production of Shrek the Musical, and in another play I got to be a husband-to-be who was having a disagreement with his wife-to-be at the time about what's the most important thing to prepare for. Is it the wedding, or is it the marriage that comes after it? So that was another great story with something that everybody needs to understand is that the wedding is only going to be a fleeting moment compared to the moments that will come afterwards. And but then I kind of had to take a year off because I actually got married myself. And, yeah,
You made it real.
yeah, I had to go through the experience for real, and I just had a lot of adjustments because with the marriage, I had a new job, I moved to a new house, and so acting kind of had to take a back seat for a while. But then after I had finally started to get settled, I said, I really want to get back into this because I really enjoy doing it. And then I saw a post on a Facebook group that I'm a member of for this play, and I said, this actually might be one I might want to try. And I went in there, and I was actually surprised. I actually got a part I wasn't even auditioning for. But no,
so you did really good.
But yeah, and it's really been fun doing this one in particular because out of all the stuff I've done in my acting career, I have never done a play where the characters, even though their names have been changed, they are based on real people. And it definitely adds a lot of pressure because you really want to nail this right because you're not telling a fictionalized story. You're telling about real people's experiences, and you want to.
I'm sure those people will be there.
Yeah. So.
Yes. And Fonda, what do you think people will get out of the play?
That is a real thing, domestic violence, and that is happening right here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, more often than we know. And the silent abuse that's happening. It's so prevalent these days, but it's also something that's silenced because women and men together just don't want people in their business like that. So one thing I want for people who come out to see the play to gather from this is, one, you're not by yourself, and two, you don't have to stay in that situation. There is a safe haven, a place, a person for all of us to turn to in the event that we find ourselves in these situations. Just know who you are, value yourself, and know when it's time for you to go.
Yes. And also realize that it's not your fault, no matter what. It's not your fault. No one deserves to be abused in any way, shape, or form. And we're talking about Tamara Gooch's book, The Day She Left, and also the play that's coming up October 25th and 26th, the Friday and Saturday at Tabernacle Church. And could you give that address?
The address is 2530 Eastern Avenue, Tabernacle Community Church.
Okay. And do you get tickets at the door, or
they can pay $30 at the door, or they can go to bit.ly/The Day She Left stage play to purchase tickets in advance.
Now, you wrote the book, but did you write the play, or did someone come to you and offer to write it?
No, she didn't come and offer to write it. I actually did not even know that she was writing it. We were attending the same church during that time that I had launched the book in 2012. She purchased it, and then we were both working at the church. And she would be on her side of the office, I'm on my side, and she's reading the book while she's trying to work. And at the time, she was going to finish her doctorate, so she was doing her dissertation. I had no idea. In between her dissertation, working, taking care of her kids, giving birth, she was writing the play. So she called me, I want to say it had to be about 2015, and we sat down, had lunch, and we were talking, and she was like, I have something for you. And I'm like, what? And she handed it over, totally different name. And I'm like, what is this? She said, this needed to come from the pages to the stage. She said, this is good because it needs to be told. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm crying because I'm just thinking, you know, a person who gives and gives and gives, you don't think about how other people bless you. And I thank God for her because she didn't have to do it. She said, I wanted to do it for you because other people need to know about this. And because it was so powerful, it needed to be on stage for other people to see it in motion.
Yes.
So I said, okay, life happened. I gave birth, she gave birth, school, husbands, life, we put it on the back burner. And early this year, late last year, we met again at our favorite spot, and she said, no, God said this has to be put out. I said, okay. I said, well, that's not my lane. You have the director background, the theater and arts background, giving that to you. Y'all just let me know what you need me to do.
Okay.
And that's basically how it happened. And then God blessed me to cross paths with Keena King, who owns Consecrated Kings Productions, who puts on stage plays all the time.
Okay, so everything came together.
Everything came together. And I truly believe that God ordained all of it because Dr. Andrew Kitamari and Keena didn't know each other. So me being the connector and pulling it together, I told him my background is in business. I got that side. I'm giving it to y'all.
Okay.
And this is a faith walk.
Okay, all right. And I imagine you're very proud of the play and the book too.
I am. I have to step away sometimes when I see the characters in motion because none of them have ever read the book.
You wanted it that way?
I did. I want them to be able to read the book afterwards. If they read the book now, it would mess their heads up. Yeah, it would. And I don't want that to throw them off character while they're on stage. Because some of our rehearsals, the scenes are so powerful that sometimes we have to make sure Malachi gets security because they're upset with his character. And some of the young ladies relive what they've gone through. And that kind of throws them off. So, yeah. I just wanted to be able to say, here's a play, read that, because a few people didn't know that it was written from the book, the adaptation. So I told them after the play, y'all can purchase a book and then read it. Then we can talk.
Will there be a question and answer session at all?
That's a good question. I hadn't thought about that.
It's a good idea.
Something to think about.
That is something to think about.
Something
That's
to
a
think
good
about.
idea.
And do you suggest this for men and women?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
This is for
Definitely.
everyone, I would say 11 and up.
Okay. I was going to ask you the age.
11 and up. Anyone
Yeah.
10 and
Yeah.
under, stay at home. Yeah.
Yeah. So, excuse me, what do you hope to do after this? Is another book coming? More plays?
Well, we have been in discussion about that. Actually, I am working on some other books that don't have anything to do with domestic violence, but some books that have just been on my heart to write. Actually, 3. 2 of what I consider coffee table books, and 1 is a devotional for women. And I'm also helping my husband write his book for grade school kids around engineering. But as far as plays, yes, I'll say that. We are headed to Ferris State University, November 14th, already, with the stage play. We are in communication with a place in Muskegon, Every Woman's Place, to bring it there. I've been in communication with others in South Bend, Indiana, and a few other places around Michigan who are interested in us bringing it to them as well.
Will there be a resource table or maybe
Yes.
resources in the program that
Yes.
here's where you can go
Yep.
or call if
Yeah.
you need some help?
Yeah, there will be a resource table that will have therapists, shelters, and there's also going to be a resource sheet that is the same as I have in the book, and it's resources in every state, national and international, because we know it's everywhere.
Yes.
And in order for women to escape, they need somewhere to go. And it may be outside of their state. So I wanted to make sure that I covered everything, even my escape plan, so that they have something to say, let me make sure I have everything I need the day I leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we also want to say that even though mostly it's women that are abused, men can be abused too.
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. But men don't like to talk about it.
Right, because there's a lot of shame in that.
Exactly. They don't
Yes.
want to seem, less than a man to their boys.
Right, and then
So-
who are they going to talk to? But
Exactly.
many of those resources also will help men
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
And then I know from time to time in this conversation, you've mentioned your husband, and then I'm sure people are like, what?
Yeah, he
so
likes
we
to
want to
say,
say this
"I'm
is a
not the
different.
one." Yeah.
This is a different husband now.
Totally
tell
different.
Tell us about him because he's a good man.
He is. He can be sometimes. But he's a good man. Nothing that I would have expected. Truly nothing I would have expected. And he has
You
not.
weren't leery after,
Oh, after
Those-
overcoming that? Oh,
Yeah.
I stayed single for about 5 years.
Okay.
I said, Jesus, this is going to take you yourself to come down from heaven and tell me that's him. He's going to look this way. He's going to say these particular words. I was so done. I was done. I had purchased a home. I was living. I was good. I said, I don't need anybody. If I have a friend, that's fine, but I'm not doing this again because I'm not going to go down that same road. But the way God allowed us to meet in the church that I was in, because my focus was, Jesus, you're my husband now. Women look at me and say, you could not have stayed celibate that long. I said, yeah, it's possible. I read. I educated myself. I started my business. I went on speaking engagements. I did what God put in my path to do. And I began helping other women. But then I got busy in the church as well. And he was busy in the church, not knowing we were both going through. He was going through a divorce after 27 years. I was going through an annulment. He was verbally abused in his marriage, but because he listened to what they said in the church, you're supposed to stay. A man who leaves his wife, you'll never be able to get married again. But pastors never talk about where God made an allowance for divorce. Like, come on, people, let's be real. So there were things that we were set up to work together in the church, writing grants, working on the finance committee together. We couldn't stand each other because we bumped heads, but we worked well together. And we became best friends working together. When his divorce became final, my annulment became final, it was like around the same time. And I shared with him over congratulating each other for winning a grant that we had wrote for the church. And he's like, I didn't know you was going through that. I was like, I didn't know you was going through that. And he one day just looked at me and said, I am just smitten by you. I was like, what? Because he's 13 years older than I am.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, flattered, but no. He said, well, I love your honesty. I said, okay, yeah, me too. And we just kept working, kept being friends. But it grew into more than that. And when he went to my father and asked my father if he could have my hand in marriage, I was like, no, he did. Okay. All right. He
Old
may be a
school.
keeper. Yeah, he may be a keeper. And then to turn around and get married, and I didn't want to give up my home, but I did. To move into a bigger one, because I was like, okay, yeah, more rooms, more fireplaces, I love it. And God allowed me to give him a child
Okay.
because he doesn't have any biological children of his own. So I said, all right, it must have been meant, because the
How old
20-year
is your
gap.
child together?
She's 5.
5? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
okay.
5. Yeah. My oldest is 25.
Big space there.
Oh, big one.
But it gives you room to know a whole lot more.
A whole lot more. So yeah,
Yeah.
he's a keeper. He says he's not going anywhere. He doesn't matter what happens.
What does he think of the book and the play?
He loves that there's a play. He hasn't read the book. He said he chooses not to read the book because he feels it would just upset him, and he would want to go do some harm. And I told him, I understand, but he's proud of what I'm doing. He laughs and looks at me because he's an introvert. I'm an extrovert, and he's just like, I don't see how. But he loves the fact that I don't mind confrontation.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah, he likes the feisty.
Well, we want to thank all of you for being on time to talk today and wish you the very best with the play, which is The Day She Left.
Yes.
You don't want to miss it. I'm definitely going to be there. I'm going to be there opening night. I want to see this play. I'm sure it's going to be very, very powerful. And so we want to thank you,
Thank you for
Tamara
having us.
Gooch, Fonda Williams, and Mark Stone, and Malachi Uzer for all being with us today. And good luck or break a leg, whatever they say.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, all of
Okay,
it.
do it.
Thank
Okay, do it.
Thank you, thank
All
you.
right,
Appreciate it.
good. Thank you all for being on time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate
And thank you for watching. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Time to Talk comes on every 2 weeks, live right here on GRTV, Comcast Cable 25. WKTV sees our rebroadcast the following Wednesday at Comcast Cable 25 in Wyoming, Kentwood, and Gaines Township. See you later. Bye-bye.